I now ask Ken Jones, Dean of the Ted Rogers School of Management, to introduce our faculty speaker who will give the convocation address this afternoon.
Chancellor Chang, President Levy, Provost Shepard, deans, esteemed colleagues and representatives who join us on stage, graduates, family members, and honored guests. 3 years ago, the Ted Rogers School of Management instituted a process whereby one of our convocation speakers would be a faculty member chosen by the graduating class. To be selected by the graduates to address their convocation is indeed a very special honor, since students come first at the Ted Rogers School of Management. I'm delighted to announce that this year's choice is Dr. Steve Gedeon, a faculty member in our Department of Entrepreneurship and Strategy. Let me provide some background that supports Dr. Gedeon's selection. Faculty have 3 areas of contribution to this university community: teaching, research, and service. On each of these dimensions, Dr. Gedeon excels. Let me highlight a few of his accomplishments. In the area of teaching, for which perhaps Dr. Gedeon is best known by the majority of students, he has done the following things: supervised over 80 work-study students, research assistants, and independent study students over the last 3 years. He was nominated for the TVO Best Lecturer of the Year Award this year. He was recipient of the inaugural Ryerson Experiential Teaching Award for 2009 and was awarded the 2009 USA Entrepreneurial Education National Award for entrepreneurial-based best practices. In the area of research, Steve has authored over 80 peer-reviewed journal articles and holds 5 or 6 patents. He also has generated significant research support from organizations such as the Angel Capital Organization, the Dobson Foundation, and the Ontario Partnership for Innovation and Commercialization. In the area of service to students, Dr. Gedeon's contributions to education have been remarkable. Over the last year, he launched the Ryerson Entrepreneurial Institute, the Ryerson Angel Network, and was faculty advisor for the Students in Free Enterprise, better known as SIFE, a student group comprised of over 100 student volunteers. Under Steve's mentorship, SIFE has had a number of remarkable successes over the last 2 years. They were national championship winners for entrepreneurship in 2008, national champions in financial literacy in 2009, and Ontario regional champions for 2008 and 2009. These are only some of Steve's accomplishments, but they symbolize the efforts and involvement of so many of our faculty, who collectively are making the Ted Rogers School of Management a great business school and are providing our students with exceptional and engaged university education. On behalf of us all, Steve, thank you. Now it's my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Steve Gedeon to address this year's convocation.
You guys. Chancellor Chang, President Levy, Provost Shepard, deans, esteemed colleagues and representatives who join us on stage, honored guests, family and friends, and of course the members of the graduating class. I am very deeply honored to be chosen by the students to speak to you here today. I guess I've made so many of you stand up in public and make presentations that you wanted payback. So now it's my turn to be told how many times I say like, or make statements that sound like questions. So thank you for making me stand on stage in a funky robe and this hat for this learning experience. Like a root canal, I'm sure I'll feel better when it's over. Painful, but good for the soul. Today I'll speak about three things: the good news, bad news, and the great news. The good news is you finally graduated! President Levy, I don't think they can graduate. I don't think they're excited enough. Can we veto this at the last minute? I said you finally graduated! That's better. Take the time to relish this success. These times of pure joy in our lives are too rare. Take the time to savor this. Take the time to engrave this day in your memory. Take the time to taste these emotions. There will be days in your life when you need this fuel for the spirit. There will be days when you will only be able to taste bitterness and grief. And you'll need to recall the taste of success that you feel here today. Burn this into your memory because you'll need it later. Today you have attained a milestone goal in your life. Take the time to remember that you are capable of achieving your goals. So now on to the bad news. The bad news is you're entering the workforce during a tough time. The economic news is lousy, and the relentless global competition is only getting stronger. You've completed one major goal here today, only to learn that there are other new goals required of you. Today you graduate, but on the other side of the planet, many others are graduating. They too had good professors. They too had good textbooks. They too speak English, and they too have discovered the internet. You thought you were the only ones. They too want high-paying jobs, and they too want a bright future for themselves and their families. Today, in India alone, they will graduate more honors students with 4-point grade averages than we will graduate students. The bad news is that those of you with average grades are now competing against all those hardworking individuals with exceptional grades. So how do you compete and succeed and achieve your goals for a happy life? In brief, market segmentation. You thought the learning was over, huh? And now on to the great news. The great news is all that market segment let me try that one again. The great news is all that market segmentation stuff that you learned here at Ryerson applies to you and to your life as well. Over the last few years, you acquired a foundational body of knowledge. You've learned the basic language, the basic concepts, and the basic building blocks of business. But that body of knowledge is just the foundation. Many on the other side of the planet may even have learned this better than you. It is necessary knowledge, but not sufficient knowledge. So now that you've graduated, you need to build new, highly segment-specific knowledge and new, highly segment-specific goals on top of that foundation. And your first major new life goal is to discover what that segment is for you. What are you good at, and what can you become great at? What are you interested in, and what can you become passionate about? Because after your first job, You won't be competing on the basis of that foundational knowledge anymore. You'll be competing on the basis of your segment-specific knowledge. All the best jobs will go to people who are really excellent at doing that particular job. You may have learned the 4 Ps of marketing, but now you need to learn to become the most knowledgeable person on the planet at how to apply that stuff to your specific company and your specific segment. You need to set goals to transition from being a student with only foundational knowledge to being a professional with world-class expertise in something. Repetition is a good thing, as I tell my students, so guess what you're going to hear next. You need to set goals to transition from being a student with only foundational knowledge to being a professional with world-class expertise in something. So be the best in the world at, I don't know, online marketing of financial services to seniors in Ontario, or become the best at organizing vendor information for healthcare events and healthcare spas in Alberta, or be the best at using e-presence solutions to manage complex software development projects between North America and Asia. So remember the story of the groundhog. The groundhog has no wings and can't fly. It has no armor or tough hide. It has no claws, and it's relatively slow-moving. And yet the groundhog has found an ecological niche in which it lives and thrives and survives happily. It has found a segment in which it succeeds and thrives. So find your niche. Find that segment in which you will excel. Don't settle for being average. Don't settle for being average. Strive for being excellent within your chosen niche. Now, excellence doesn't come without hard work. You have to set high goals, take aptitude tests, read books, take jobs that might not pay particularly well, even take on voluntary positions, all to ensure that you figure out where your niche is and how to thrive within that carefully chosen niche. So in summary, the good news is that you have achieved an important milestone goal in your life. Take the time to taste this emotion because you will need it later for emotional fuel. The bad news is that many, many others globally also have achieved this same milestone. But the great news is that segmentation works for groundhogs and graduates. Find your niche. Find your passion. Find that thing that you will excel in better than anybody else on the planet. Set high goals for yourself to build upon the excellent foundational knowledge that you learned here at Ryerson University. Thank you.
Steve, thank you for your convocation address, and we wish you continued success in your ongoing project.